Hello, guys. Andrew here, and I need to tell you about a conversation I keep having over and over again. I sit down with men in their 60s, successful men, stable men, men who've built careers, raised families, survived marriages, and almost every one of them says something that completely shocks the people around them. I'd rather die alone than date again. And they don't say it bitterly. They don't say it from some lonely apartment, angry at the world. They say it calmly, rationally, like they've run the numbers and reached a conclusion. And from what I've personally seen, they didn't walk away because they couldn't find someone. They walked away because they calculated the cost. That's the part no one wants to admit. You remember being young, right? Back when a relationship felt like the goal. In your 20s, maybe early 30s, finding someone felt essential. You didn't just want it, you needed it. You imagined partnership as purpose. You believed in building something together. So you pursued it. You dated. You risked rejection. Maybe you married. Maybe you gave 10, 20, 30 years of your life trying to make it work. You provided. You protected. You compromised. You absorbed stress that wasn't yours. You adjusted your life to keep peace. You believed that's what commitment meant. And then it ended. Divorce, death, separation. However it happened, you survived it. And once the dust settled, something unexpected showed up. Relief. Not the kind you announce at family dinner. The quiet kind. The kind that hits your body when the constant tension finally leaves. And that's when the math began. I've watched these men start adding things up. The hobbies they abandoned. The friends who slowly disappeared. The dreams they postponed. The energy they spent managing someone else's emotions every single day. Then they imagined doing it again. Another courtship phase. Another period of best behavior. Another gradual discovery of expectations, needs, moods, negotiations. Another slow erosion of autonomy. They imagined someone moving into the peace they had finally built, rearranging the space, adjusting routines, asking questions, creating obligations, and then they asked one simple question. What would I gain versus what would I lose? Companionship on one side, peace, autonomy, money, time, freedom on the other. And the math was clear, not worth it. From my experience observing this pattern, something else happens too. Testosterone declines. Instead of being a curse, it becomes clarity. When you were 25, your hormones overruled your judgment. You tolerated things you shouldn't have tolerated. You rationalized red flags. You pursued because biology pushed you. Now, the chemistry doesn't hijack your brain. Now you can evaluate calmly. Does she add value? Does she create peace? Does she improve my life? And for many of these men, the honest answer is no. People assume something is broken in them, that they're afraid, damaged, bitter. But what I've seen is something different. They're no longer driven by fantasy. They're driven by logic. After the relationship ended, they built something new without realizing it. Peace. Mornings that belong to them, evenings without tension, weekends without obligation, money spent intentionally, space that isn't negotiated, no emotional temperature reading when they walk into the house, no eggshells, no recalibration of mood to match someone else's, just quiet autonomy. And once you taste that, it changes you. Nobody talks about the invisible tax of relationships, not the obvious financial cost, the mental cost, the constant emotional labor, the ongoing management of someone else's feelings, the vigilance, the adjustments. You get used to living in that state until it's gone. And when it's gone, you realize how much of yourself you'd surrendered just to maintain stability. I've heard men say something that stuck with me. I'm not afraid of relationships. I'm tired of what they require. That's a powerful distinction. Women may think these men are holding out for someone better. They're not. They're not negotiating terms. They're not waiting for perfection. They've decided that even the best possible relationship still requires compromise they're no longer willing to make. It's not about her. It's about what they value now. Peace over companionship, or freedom over partnership, autonomy over approval. And here's the uncomfortable truth. When you choose contentment alone, it unsettles people. Your family questions you. Married friends assume something's wrong. They tell you that you'll regret it, that you'll be lonely. But from what I've seen, what really bothers them is that your decision forces them to examine their own. Your peace becomes a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see reflected. So what are these men actually choosing? They're choosing ownership of their mornings, ownership of their money, ownership of their time, ownership of their energy. They're choosing not to re-enter a system they already understand too well. They're not missing the drama. They're not missing the tests. They're not missing the subtle control. the financial entanglement, the emotional recalibration. They know exactly what they're avoiding, and they're grateful. Now, let me say this clearly. This isn't about hating women. It's not about fear. It's not about bitterness. It's about self-respect. You can only sacrifice so much before you start valuing what remains. If you're nodding along to this, if you've quietly reached this conclusion yourself but haven't said it out loud, you're not alone. And you're not irrational. You've lived it. You've paid the price once. You've seen the trade-offs. And maybe, just maybe, you've decided that the peace you've built is worth more than restarting the cycle. My name is Andrew. And on Savvy Relationships, I talk about the realities people are afraid to admit. If you've already made this choice, own it. Stop apologizing for valuing your peace. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your calculation. Sometimes walking away isn't failure. Sometimes it's evolution.